Alright, let's get started on this chess book. Haven't written this thing in a good while. Okay, so we finished chapter 1. Yeah, this was against Vermeil. What was this? Yeah, casual game. Everything here was a casual game. This was a longer one. I think this was a draw. Yeah, this was a draw. This was a loss. This was a draw. So this book is basically about lessons in defeat. It's all the chess games that I lost over the last 4 months. These are the ones that I want to, go like in depth on, for lessons learned. Kind of like an after action report, if you will. So that's why I'm writing this book. I'm an improver, so this will be, I think, my 8th chess book. The ones before were about masters games or just like queen and pawn in games, knight and pawn in games, that type of stuff. This will be book 45 or 46 total. Usually I write science fiction, fantasy, essay collections, what else? Poetry. I write in a lot of different genres. My sister and I write in a lot of different genres. She is my co-author, although we write most of our books separately nowadays, but we still write under the same pen name. Have I even looked at? No, I haven't even mapped this chapter out really. So a lot of these chapters, when I map them, I just kind of take the actual game, all the positions, and put them here, and then later I'll just copy this up here and then make all my annotations and notes. And then when I'm all done, that'll be a chapter, and then after I finish doing all of them, I go back through and edit everything, which is an extremely tedious process, but it works for me. So let's get started here. I believe I was on chapter 3. This game was back in January, and I don't think I've looked at this book for about a month or so. So I was playing black here. Let's make sure this last chapter was finished. Yeah, this last chapter looks finished. So we'll start on chapter 3. We'll get started. I use Stockfish as the engine to analyze the games. Although Stockfish does not give you any commentary, it basically just looks for the best moves, and then you can choose how many lines you want it to show as well. Well, I'm not seeing that option here. Yeah, here it is. You can do like 3, 4, 5 different lines, and so then you can have all these variations. I usually just stick with 2 lines. My computer's not super powerful. If I wanted to use my more powerful computer, I would open it up. It's under this one. It has a pretty nice GPU, and then I use ChessBase to go in even more depth. I don't know if I'll show all that on video because it's kind of tedious to do all of that, but usually Stockfish, this one's Stockfish 18 is good enough. I think when I started writing this book, it was Stockfish 17.1 that I was using, so it's going to be an even stronger engine for my analysis. So we'll see what we can learn here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this PGN into here, and then it will take me to the final position, and then of course it shows it from white's perspective again, but I'm playing with black. So let's see. so yeah, I wasn't familiar with this. I'm playing the Sicilian, and then when he played that move, I was like, okay, because usually I'm used to playing the Nightorf or the Nightdorf. But this is the Alpine Sicilian, or yeah, Alpine, yeah. So I wasn't sure what to do here, so I just tried to play like a Queen's Gambit decline structure, which is incorrect. You're supposed to play here, then they take, and come with the queen, the knight can't do anything because this is blocked off, then they play here, and then I guess you're supposed to play here, one of the knights. Me, I probably would have done something stupid and did that. I don't think I would have played this at all. Knowing myself, I probably would have played something like that, and then which would allow his knight to come in, which would have been kind of dumb, but that's most likely what I would have played. The computer says it would still be even, but then I think if the opponent, what would I do? I'd probably play here. The opponent would not play here because they would just drop the pawn, so I would play here. But yeah, I would definitely do something like that, knowing myself. But anyway, in the actual game it was this, which gives White a slight advantage. Now he's got, that's half a tempo, 1, 2, he's got 2 tempos, I've got 1.5 tempos, so I'm really far behind in development now. That is what it looks like to me. So this is one of the lines I went over. So put it here. Queen d6 variation. What do I mean by that? I'm just gonna go through and check. I'm gonna check this line. So knight f6. Developing the knight, yeah, e5. This was a computer recommended line, so I basically captured it, put it in here, and then I wrote my own annotations. So I put f6 developing the knight, and yeah, White's gonna play here. This reminds me of the Alekhine defense, which I'm not comfortable playing, so that's probably why I did not play this knight move. Which is why I played here. I played here because I was trying to prevent this. Because, like I said, I'm familiar with the Queen's Gambit decline type of lines and the, what's it called? And the Nightorf Sicilian. I usually always play that type of structure as black. Although Queen's Gambit decline is like, what's this, this, and this. So that's actually what Queen's Gambit decline looks like, not the other thing. But you know, it looks similar to me, which is why I'm comfortable with it. So the correct move was here, and then you're supposed to play like an Alekhine looking thing. Which, like I said, I'm not comfortable with. Oh, it even says that Alekhine opening variation. Or with bishop. Okay, so gains a tempo against the knight. And then, yeah, knight d5 is forced. Are there any other options? Oh, you can play here, or you can play back. Wow, that's a very beta male type of move right here. Nobody's ever gonna do that. Or in chess terms, they call it passive. Very passive. Okay, so this is forced. Then bishop c4. Yep. Which gains a tempo on the knight. It's recommending this is the second best move. They're saying it's more solid. Honestly, if I were white, I would play that too. And then you go here to take the tempo back that you just lost. So then the bishop goes here. Is this what I wrote down? Yeah. So yeah, regaining a tempo by hitting the bishop, and then the bishop retreats right there. And then what line did I like? C4. Okay, and the bishop is forced back. So you gain a tempo, but you could say this pawn is a little bit weird looking. You could say it's overextended, but really there's nothing hitting it. What if white plays here? So, well, it's my move. So here, per what I put, yeah, knight F. What I put? Oh yeah, knight C6. Yeah, after the bishop retreats here, knight C6, continue development. And then they're saying knight F3. What else could white do? Could white ever play here? No. Probably black. Yeah, black just wants the. Okay, that's fine. So that pawn is kind of sort of a thorn pawn. Not really. Thorn pawns are usually like right here, somewhere, or right here on the flank. Not right here, and it's not on. It's not further up enough on the board. Like in the opposite direction, it's like, oh, the pawn's in the 6th rank. Right here, the pawn would be on the 3rd rank for it to be a thorn pawn, which it's technically not, but it is a bit pesky looking. There's kind of a bind here. All these pieces are just kind of not happy right here. But then black isn't developed either, so it's really whatever. So we'll put that. Yeah, knight F3. Then D5. White will capture on the pawn. Black can also play D6, but the result ends up being the same after white captures on D6. So I think I get this, and then yeah, here. And the other variation is I can play here. White still captures, and then it's the same. It's the same thing. There's not even a tempo gain because it's still, you can still castle or whatever. Okay, so this was the next move. Why would this be recommended instead of the other one? Like, is that more forcing? No, they're both forcing because if white doesn't take, you still, there's no difference. Okay. The point is there's no difference. Okay, so that was that line. That makes sense. Okay. This is a rough draft though, like I still have tons of chapters that I haven't even fully, mapped out properly. I basically said I'm gonna get to chapter 25 and that's gonna be it. But in the past, I've written more. I think the last book was 40 chapters. And that was a lot of work. Okay, so this is the next line I'm looking at. This is all opening theory. You could probably find this in a different book somewhere, right? There's thousands of chess books. I like to write my own though because it's like I've read other chess books and they're good. They're obviously written by really strong players. But I've seen it where like even if you're a really strong player, like sometimes there's some books I've read where it'll be like a GM who wrote it, and then you'll be reading the book and they won't explain anything. Like they'll have whole passages that are just like this. Like they'll just be like they'll have all of that, right? They'll have all of this just in the page, no explanation. And it'll be like some variation that they think is really good, and they use computer analysis too, so they'll pull lines from the engine, and then they'll like just drop them in their book, and they'll be like, and then they'll put like a double exclamation point, for like brilliant moves and stuff, but then they like won't explain it. I think it's because strong players, like, a lot of things are, or some lines are really obvious to them, and then they just won't write it in their books. Like I'm serious. Like read a book on Queen in games, or read a book on Rook in games. Rook in games, some of those books are the worst. Like they'll just have like 30 moves just blanketed across, the text with no explanation, and then it'll say, "White is winning," and you'll be like, "Why is White winning?" But what you're not seeing is that they've read like 50 books, 60 books. Like Bobby Fischer, he read a lot of chess books. Part of the reason he was so good. I think a lot of players now, they'll practice a lot. Like I know Ali Reza, they said like he would have like multiple tabs, and he'd be playing a bunch of games pretty much simultaneously. So that's like a brute forcing type of method, I guess. Some people are really big in the reading, like Fischer was. Some people just play a lot of games. Some people just study deeply. So everybody has their flavor. My flavor is, this is a hobby. I find this enjoyable to just do a lot of this research. So this is the first time I've ever analyzed my own games. I usually would look at Masters games and other games, but never my own games. So we'll see if learning from my own mistakes makes me a better player. I know I've improved by reading other people's books and whatnot, so I'm going to give this a try. So what is this? Queen, I thought Queen takes on d6, some other knight f6 line. So what am I talking about here? So a lot of times I'll just refresh the page and then recopy, which is why I keep like the original PGN right here, because I'll do this multiple times. I'll just recopy it over and over and over, flip the board back, and then go back through. It's very tedious. So it's saying here, and then the line that I was inspecting was another knight f6 line. So let's do it, knight f6. And I'm going back and forth just to make sure, like, because I can assume, that I need to play knight d5, but maybe I grabbed a different variation, right? And even here, the next one is a d5 line. So I don't want to make assumptions, which is why I go back and forth. d5. Because I've had it in other books where, like, I'll assume, oh yeah, this is the next thing, and then when I'm going back and doing my edit, I'll realize, wait, I think I messed something up, and like the diagrams will be wrong, and just a whole bunch of stuff ends up being incorrect, which messes up the book. I remember when I was reading the book called My System, I remember finding some errors in there, like in some Rook game, and it kind of annoyed me a bit, but I've since gotten over that. Once you write your own books, you realize, it's impossible to not make mistakes. So you end up not criticizing other people. Yep. e5, knight d5. And I'm going to play this. Let's just make sure I put the right move. Yep, b6. Here. c4. Okay. Bishop retreats. So the only change was, I already went over it. What should I put there? I already talked about this though. Okay. But will the reader understand that? I think the reader will understand that. Yeah, the reader should understand that. Because what other previous variation would I be referring to other than this one? I'll just leave it. Okay, so the D5 line. Queen trade declined. So what am I talking about here? This is the one that I would definitely Still defended, but now white has an isolated pawn, so that's why that is not recommended. That's why the recommendation is to take here and then keep that pawn chain intact. That's why the computer is saying that. Okay. But see, the computer doesn't tell you any of this. It just tells you the best move. There's no commentary. Once computers have commentary that, makes real sense, that'll be super duper cool. For now, nothing. Even AI is terrible at explaining chess right now. Chess is kind of the last bastion of hope in terms of legitimacy at the present moment. Everything else has been bottified. How awful is that? Yes, people do love their discreditation. They love the sense of satisfaction they get from discrediting others. Well, here is my proof right here. See the work? So you now have nothing to say. This is true. Okay, so moving on. So knight c6. That was the last move that I made. Knight c6. Bishop e3. Okay, so I do have a habit of saying, let's choose the second strongest move. Okay, so this is a developing move, and it reinforces the pawn. This is a little weird to me because it's like, now you still get that isolated pawn, and I don't really like that. You can play it, it's obviously playable, but I don't feel comfortable personally dealing with trying to keep an isolated pawn. It just looks like a raging target to me. From Wright's perspective, it just looks like a raging target. Okay, so regardless, this was played. Then bishop g4, pinning the knight. Oh, that's why it's saying white is not better with that move. So white takes, right? He gets an extra pawn. I take. Then the king is there, right? The bishop is under attack once here, and this pawn is doubled. So it might so this pawn is going to fall at some point. It's like, especially once the knight is played, it falls back, and then you play here or something, and then you're going to take that pawn back. White can never play something like that because that looks ridiculous. I mean, he plays here, you play there or something. It just looks silly. So like, let's just kind of play this out. So it's saying play here. Now me personally, I'm not gonna castle. Like, what is the computer saying castling here? This looks a little weird. I castle here and then I drop the knight. Clearly the computer's got some sort of, otherworldly tactic. So I'm gonna take here, he's gonna take back, and then now I can target something, right? Oh, this is better for white, apparently. I'm thinking I'm gonna take this pawn, and then he hits the bishop. Okay, there's probably something insane here. Well, maybe not insane, just something I'm not seeing. And then it's saying give up another pawn. And then it's saying go over here. It's saying go over here to prevent this. It's saying go here to prevent this ridiculous nonsense. It says taking the bishop is slightly better for white. I don't know, it looks like two isolated pawns to me, or it looks like an isolated pawn and then double pawns to me. Okay, let's go back to something reasonable, which was not that. What did I put? I think I did this, then this. This is where I was. Okay. Bishop g4, and bishop e2. Okay. Getting rid of the pin. C takes e4. And then what did it take back with? Cannot take back with the bishop. You don't want to get with that bishop. Yeah, just goes for the isolated pawn. I don't know, man. I mean, it's still a nothing sandwich, but it says that's how you're supposed to play this opening, Jason. Not that crap you were playing. Okay. See, like when you're writing these books, it's a slow crawl. It really is a slow crawl. It's not exciting. Okay, it is exciting. Well, in like a boring way. But yeah, that's writing a chess book. Notice how little we got done in like 35 minutes. And it's like that. It's like this. It's this marathon for thousands of words. Thousands. Eventually, you get to chapter 25 and you sit there and you're like, what did I do with my life? What did I do? No, that's not how you feel. You feel very accomplished. That's actually how you feel. You're like, yes, I did it. I did it again for the 46th time. Yeah, maybe eventually I'll make a video on writing fiction as well. But this is the monotony, or maybe not monotony, depending on who you are. It doesn't feel monotonous to me. But this is what it's like writing a chess book. Just hours and hours and